Welcome to everyone from Ohio. Today we're going to be meeting with Chief Nemsia from Virginia, but originally from Ghana. The topic of our conversation is going to be the world of Jinn and Satan. And this topic has really gained in quite a bit of popularity these days. There's a movie out with Will Smith, famous actor, and then there's also another movie called Annabelle. The topic is very important, and Chief is the expert. He'll be speaking to us. But I'd like to welcome you, Chief, to Ohio, and maybe you can tell us a little bit about what you think of Ohio and our nice chilly weather.
Yeah, thank you so much. And Ohio is also wonderful, and I will be glad to come maybe next year.
We hope you do.
Yes, thank you. Yeah. So, and I'm also glad you guys invite me here to come and explain the word Jinn, and also how, what people really think about the world of Jinn and Satan.
Well, it's a very important topic. I'm very new to it, but I'm interested in learning more about it.
Okay.
We spoke about it a couple days ago, and it's very intriguing. I'd like to learn a lot more about it.
Okay.
Maybe we can start with a few questions.
Okay.
Regarding Jinn, maybe you can tell me, what is the meaning of Jinn?
The meaning of Jinn, the literal meaning of Jinn, it simply means a shield. Yeah, a creature, something you couldn't see with your, maybe in their original form, but you can only see them when they inhabit a human form, like animals. Some of them can inhabit like snakes, dogs, humans, and so on and so forth. But you cannot see them in their original form, Jinn. I think that's just the literal meaning. As I said, it simply means a shield.
So you would see a Jinn only in the form of what it has inhabited. So
Absolutely.
A person or an animal.
An animal.
But nothing inanimate, nothing like a rock. It's only a living being that it inhabits.
Yes, only a living being, or they can also, as in a dwell, they can dwell in this stones, rock, as you said, maybe tables, because they can dwell. They can transform into different creature and so many things. So I think, as you said, rock, mountains, and
So
trees.
they're very powerful.
Absolutely.
What is the first Jinn or the father of Jinn? You were mentioning something about Islam to me a few days ago. What can you tell me about this?
Yeah, God says, He says, we created men and jinn so that they shall worship me. And the jinn and men, in Arabic, we have something that we call atof. Atof means conjunction, meaning whatever we do, they do it. Their first jinn is called marriage. Marriage is the first jinn. And the mother of jinn is called Maria. So, if jinn, man and woman, let's say, conceive, the lady will carry the pregnancy for 50 years. And then after she gives birth, she will breastfeed the baby for 80 years before the baby can walk or do whatever, maybe go to school, this and that. So that's the father of Jinn, is called marriage.
And is that from the Quran?
Yeah, that's from the Quran and our research. I do a lot of research, not just the Quran. Yeah.
How many types of Jinn are there? I know you mentioned the mother and the father, but how many types of Jinn will we see?
Yeah, we have 8 groups of Jinn, and I even say there are 9, not 8. Yeah, we have 8 groups of Jinn. We have a group of Jinn called Shayateen. Shayateen, that's the first Jinn. And we have a group of Jinn called Abalis. We have a group of Jinn called Ifrit. We have a group of Jinn called Tayarin. We have a group of Jinn called Gawasi. We have a group of Jinn called Marada. We have a group of Jinn called Marid. We have a group of Jinn called Karim. And the Karim, each and every one of us is possessing Karim. I think that's what we told. You were asking me the first time we met. The Karim is in each and every one of us. That's what some of you guys call our intuition. It tells you do this, or something supernatural, or something bad is about to happen to you. Like this morning, you just don't feel okay, and the next hour something bad happened. We call it intuition. That's what we call the Karin. We all have it in our lives. So that is the Karin. Karin, and we also have the Karin Toric. Karin Toric, that makes it 9. Karin Toric is someone that I know. This guy is a good guy. This man is a good man. This woman is a good. But the next hour, you see, she's changed from positivity to negativity. Everything of her changes. And these, every gene that I've mentioned here, they can all manipulate our minds. They can induce temptation into our hearts. They can make us do things we shouldn't do. After that, we regret. As I told you last time, they can put you into miserable state. They can make your life, they can dwell in a child, in 4 or 5-year-old girl, that you see a 30-year-old man, they say he raped this little baby or little child due to these things. And Jinn, witches and wizards use Jinn to get us. So it's not something that maybe they are in their world and all of a sudden they come and then dwell into our, they come and then attack us. No. We humans, we send them, our enemies send them to do things, maybe put us into trouble. There's 90% of us are in jail due to enemies manipulating us and then use the Jinn or numerology and letters. It also goes with the same Jinn.
So you mentioned 8 or 9 types of Jinn, and you talked about 2 specifically regarding intuition.
Yeah.
But can you elaborate on a few of the others? What are those other types that you mentioned? You gave them the names, but what do they do?
Yeah. When we call the word shayateen, Jinn shayateen means, that is Arabic word, and shayateen means Satans. They are a group of Jinn. They are Satans. Immediately they dwell or they come to you. The only thing they do is to just induce temptation into the heart. They ask you not to go to church, not to go to mosque if you're a Muslim, not to believe in God, not to believe in spiritual world, not to believe there is something supernatural, just to believe in you yourself. They tell you not to believe there is God. That is the Satan. And Abalis, it also Iblis, means the Lucifers. They also tell you, if Lucifer, like for example, if someone is possessed by Lucifer, you will be able to define that particular Jinn by identifying the fellow in 3 things. The fellow in Arabic, we call it kibr, takabur, and ujub. You see, the fellow is what? Inner arrogance. He doesn't want to accept your advice. Number 2, he wouldn't listen to someone's advice. And he believes, the ujub means he believes whatever he says is final. That is what we call self-conceited person. So immediately you see the fellow, he behaves that way. He's trying to tell you a lot. I am good and I know what I'm doing and I cannot be mistaken. So whatever I say is final. So you gotta take me. That's what we call the Abali. So when Abali's group possesses someone, that's how he behaves. We have a Jinn called Ifrit. The Ifrit are the Jinns that masters, the gurus, the voodoos. That's the gurus and the voodoos, the spiritualists, pastors, some of the spiritual leaders. They use them because they send them. They can go to places within the twinkle of an eye. They can take 5 or 10 minutes from here to Virginia, from here to California within 5 to 10 minutes. And we also have a group of Jinn called Gawasin. The Gawasins, they drink blood and they live in the cemeteries. That's the reason why witches and wizards are using them. And because of the blood that they drink. And we also have the other one that I told you, the Tayarin. They fly. That's the reason why you see a lot of pastors and the voodoos, as I said, they give information. Some of them, the informations are accurate, and some of the informations too are not, because they go up there and then steal information from Almighty God and then tell us what is going on. And sometimes it's possible that they may tell us the right one, or sometimes it's not, because they are not the supreme beings. They are just a creature, but in their different world. That's the difference.
So they're mainly evil.
Not all of them.
Not all
we
of
have
them?
good and bad. Because the good ones, you can use good Jinn to get information. You can use the good Jinn for advice. You can use the good Jinn for so many things. Even some of our spiritual leaders, the pastors, they tell you they got spiritual eye. They can tell you the day you are born, what is going to happen next month, that's the good Jinns. So you can use the good Jinns and work with them. That's not a problem. But the bad ones, they are sent by the witches and wizards to come and destroy your life. So that's the reason why I'm saying, if each and everyone has a problem, if you have a problem, I know how to handle that, and I can exorcise them, and you become free. And you, some of them will tell you, look, I've completed school, but I ain't got no work. I've been working, I've been going from place to place looking for work. I couldn't find a job. Because you are, some of us, maybe you are possessed by a jinn spirit, a bad jinn spirit. So what do? And there's no way you can understand yourself unless you look for a spiritualist, not a ritualist, not someone who will slaughter blood, this and that. No, someone who will pray, who will to invoke or to cast that particular jinn.
So you need a master to work with you, to resolve whatever issue you're having and to exercise this from your being.
Yeah, I do exorcism. I have a branch in Virginia and a branch in Ghana. Yeah.
Well, the next question I have is, what is the power of the jinn? And I know you were mentioning some of that right before I asked this question. Can you elaborate on that a little bit more?
Yeah. The power of jinn, as I said, one of the powers are jinn can make you a barren. Jinn can make you a single mother. Jinn can make you a single for life. Jinn can make you enemy of all. Wherever you enter, immediately you enter there, you begin to have enemies. And you'll be wondering, what have I done wrong? I'm so good to this guy, this good to this woman. What is happening? Jinn can make you that to extend you couldn't even propose to a woman. Any woman that you plan proposing, the woman dumps you the next day. Jinn can come and then sleep with you. That's the power of jinn. That can come and have intercourse with you in your dreams. That daybreak, you see that the lady you were with, you begin to have confusion. And the jinn can do that. And as I said, they have three reasons of bothering us. Some of the reason are our enemies can send the jinn. And sometimes too, and it's good in America, you guys have that law that you can't just stand public and then maybe urinate like that. It's not possible, because the jinn immediately sees that you can possess jinn through by that, but just nakedness. And jinn can be provoked, because there are places that you cannot step there. Jinns are always around so many places that immediately you step there, you might find yourself into a miserable state. So there are places that we should be very careful when we go.
What are
places
those?
like
what?
bushes, sometimes someone will tell you, let's go for camping. You go and spend 2-3 days, night in the bushes doing nothing, because these are the places jinn live. So it's very dangerous that if you go into the camp, make sure you know what you're doing and you know the prayers to defend or to protect yourself spiritually, or else you might end up having spiritual being. Because if the spirit starts today, they don't just dwell in you today and begin to work. No, it takes time. Jinn can dwell in you or possess you and take about 10 years or 20 years.
Before it manifests, before it happens in there. So other than the bushes and trees, where else?
Oceans, they live. Some of them live in oceans, some of them in our uncompleted buildings, some of them in our cemeteries. So it's also very dangerous to go to the cemetery alone, that I'm going to do this or that. And some of our images too. There are a lot of images you don't have to put in your own. There are images that are weird. And this our tattoo, some of us we do a lot of tattoos are good, and some do snake tattoo in a private place that has. These are the symbols and
symbols of the jinn.
Of the jinn, so they can inhabit, as I told you from the onset, they can inhabit snakes, dogs, and then so on and so forth. So
are people taught the appropriate prayers to ward off the jinns or to save themselves from the jinns?
We have special prayers for that. But if you are possessed by the jinn spirit, then you got to look for someone. You have to look for the master to remove and exorcise that from your system. Absolutely. So if you're not aware, maybe if you're aware, you can avoid being possession. But if you're not aware, it invades your system. And I like the word "if you're not aware." So how do you become aware? How do you know that you are possessed? Right. Yeah, as I said, first of all, you realize it. You begin to have dreams, weird dreams. Number two, you begin to see that you are quick-tempered. And anytime you're sitting down, within 2-3 days, you become sad, alone. You'll be wondering, what is wrong with me? I'm so sad that I did not hear any information. Sometimes you feel like you are chased by an animal, the dogs, cows, cats in your dream. And sometimes you see you struggling to swim in a pool, whether beach and ocean, that you're struggling to swim but you couldn't swim. Maybe you are good in swimming, but because of that, it becomes difficult. Then you realize that something is pulling you spiritual. And day in, day out, immediately you wake up, you see that something supernatural. You see that, look, things are not moving as I'm looking, as I wish. Look, as I said from that day, sometimes some of us are struggling to save money. They tell you, look, I'm struggling, I'm working, I got 3 jobs. Tomorrow, this morning, maybe I was, but so many times I tried to save, but I couldn't save. Some of the jinn can do that. A jinn can possess a human. Take a human from like a lady, come to you that she loves you. By the end of the day, you end up spending every money that you got on her, and she will also dump you and leave. Some of them are not just physical, some of them are spiritual. And as I said, the most dangerous jinn as the Umar is the Umar jinn. Umar jinn, that's what we call the marine spirit. They come into you and then convince you not to believe that spiritual problem is even real. They tell you not to believe that. So if somebody's talking about jinn, you say, oh, I don't believe in this. Someone tell me about, I don't believe. But day in there, you can see that you are facing the same problem that the guy is talking about. And the only thing you need to do is, how do I convince myself to believe that there is something? Because this world is not just only the physical world. We also have the spiritual world. Because some of us, our enemies can take us to a gurus, the voodoos that I talked about, that to make you. Some of us use our peace, like our clothing. Some of us take our hair to witches and wither and tell him, look, this guy is my friend, or is my neighbor, or is my family member, and I know he's okay. So out of enviness, I want you to what? Inflict pain or anguish on him. Yes, I know the position that he got, I can't get it. So how do I do so that he also loses his position? That's what we call enviness. So immediately you see that, you got to realize that no, something is wrong somewhere. How do I do? And as I said, the signals are the dreams that you see, that you will have in your dream in the night. Some of us will realize that, look, day in, day out, if I sleep, I dream that I'm in my country, or I'm in my village where I was born, or I'm in my city where I was born. But now I am in Ohio. Why is it that every blessed day I dream that I'm in Virginia? Each and every day that I dream I'm in California. What is wrong with me? It means something is wrong somewhere. How do I do that? And some of the jinn, if you are possessing them, it will be very difficult, as I said, for you yourself to drive them away, unless you look for a master, a spiritual master who is good, that can cast them, or else you end up losing everything. Yeah.
This brings me to my next question. How our enemies would use jinn against us? So you mentioned the envy that some people would have, that would want what you have, but what else is there?
Yeah, let's say you got, maybe your husband is a decent and gentle and hardworking man that a neighbor will see and say, wow, I wish I married this man. Maybe your children will be well-trained children, and someone will say, wow, so how do I do so that the children of this lady or this man become reward? How do I convince spiritually? But physically, they are afraid of you. They are afraid to tell you that, look, you got a nice and wonderful family. So they can take you to a spiritualist. Some use knots, something that they can tie. It's a spiritual knot. They tie it with human hair. And some use clothing, as I mentioned earlier. Some don't use it. They use even voice, your voice. They will just call you on phone and say, hello, is this Isaac? You say yes, and they'll hang up, and that's all. From that day, you see that everything becomes a problem. At your workplace, your boss wouldn't want to see you. at this place, at that place. Each and every time that you're making movement, you see that no, I am not getting, this is not what I'm expecting. Something bad is happening somewhere. But my problem is, how do I know? Unless you find a spiritualist, you have find Chief, as you said, if you call us, then I'll be able to do consultation. I can use your name and do consultation, find out. And also, there is a place I want you guys know. Not only Jinn that people use to put people in trouble. We also have a numerology and letters that they use names. They use numerology, letters and numbers. That is what we call the astrology. I can use the day you are born. I can use the day you are born.
To remove any
remove
any of the manifestations of the bad jinn.
And they can also use it to manipulate you and put you into miserable state. Yeah, they can just use
so they can use it. They can use it against you as well as to be removed.
Absolutely, removed. So it's not necessarily that they use the piece of the body. Sometimes just the name and the day you are born. That's why a lot of people don't. They can only tell you this is my birthday. But they wouldn't want to tell you my age and the day they are born. So the birthday only celebrated like 6th of March this. But the day I was born, it's very difficult that you even see people on Facebook, they wouldn't want to post these things because they know that is your weak point. Some of them, but some don't know the difference between the astrology and numerology. And also use the numbers and the Jinn, as I told you. A lot of people don't know that.
So you would use a combination of both astrology and numerology to remove this, from people. Although it could have been used by someone in an evil fashion to start everything.
Yes.
Okay.
And as I said, so if you call me, if you come to me, the only thing I do, take your name, find out what is really wrong with you, whether the fellow used your name or your star against you or you were inflicted by the Jinn spirit. So how do I remove or cast it out? Then I'll be able to do my consultation and find out what and how to get it.
Do you have to do that face to face with someone? Can that be over the telephone?
Yeah, it can be on the telephone.
So if someone is in California and you're in Ohio, you can still work with them to take care of this problem.
Absolutely. Okay. Absolutely.
Maybe you can tell me some more about the effects of bad jinn on humans.
Yeah, the effect of bad jinn, as I mentioned, some of the problems. We have a problem by, you see, some of us are very, very quick-tempered, as I mentioned earlier. Sometimes you see that you are just yourself, but all of a sudden you become so sad. You wouldn't want to, even you begin to tell your partner or your families that you need to be left alone. You don't know what is wrong with you, but you can feel the heaviness of your head or something around you. So you need to be left alone. That is the Jinn spirit. And sometimes too, you'll be talking to yourself alone. And the talking that it's, we have the normal one that each and every one of us can talk. You can just sit down and then maybe talking to yourself. But sometimes you'll be walking around the street and then you're just talking to yourself. People are watching. What are you saying? But just so fortunate that now we have phones and other things that people will think that they're talking on phone. And these are the symptoms. And sometimes, so as I said, looking for a job becomes a problem. Sometimes marriage, 90% of young men ended up having 10 or 5 baby mamas that if you sit them down and ask them, they will tell you they never planned for that. And some of these things, there is a guy doing a program that 90% of them, they will go there for a lie detector and they end up saying that, look, I don't know, you use my name, and they are even saying, no, I am not the one who would do this. And they end up telling, look, you did it. Because the lie detector say, and you are beginning, you trying to swear, I swear, I didn't do it. Sometimes the Jinn can use you, do something that you wouldn't even know that you've done it. So at the end of the day, you end up seeing yourself into, as I said, into miserable state. But then it will be too late, because the police and the lawyers, they work with evidence, not whatever you're saying that you can't tell them that I was possessed, that's what I did this. The only thing you need to do, look for a spiritualist. How do we do it? As I said, you come, you take your name, even you can call on phone, you can call the numbers, I'll take your name, the day you are born, you'll find out what's wrong with you. How do you become successful in life? we can work on that, inshallah, and then give you some time. Sometimes it takes like 1 week or 2 weeks to become okay. And you will know. I wouldn't tell you. I would do something for you and you realize, Chief, I'm now okay. I can see my life having turned from negativity to positivity, inshallah. So that's how it, the fellow doesn't have to come to me for that. He or she can just call them.
I have another question. Are there any physical effects where this could change your health?
Yeah.
Or seriously make you in the hospital? A jinn can do this to you as well?
Yeah. Then a lot of people will tell you, I've been to the hospital so many times and the doctors are running lab and so on and so forth. But they wouldn't be able to tell us the exact sickness that I'm suffering from. But they keep on telling me, you this, you that. And it's all about this jinn. If you are possessed by the jinn spirit, it's possible that they can, just to make sure that you wouldn't be able to save. So they create something on you. You feel like that is this physical sickness. You run tests, tell you have cancer, this cancer, that cancer. Some even tell you that you will die the next day. But the next day you're still alive. The doctor is telling you the truth, but something is wrong somewhere. But you need to find out what is really going on. Unless you look for someone who have an eye, a spiritual eye that can see. But we are talking about the good jinns and bad jinns. The good jinns are also jinns that you can get them and be able to see a bad person. Maybe someone is a witch or wizard. If you have a spiritual eye, the jinn can help you see that. The jinn can also help you for luck and favor. Not necessarily going to do things you shouldn't do. Jinn can help you in so many ways. They can help you also progress in life. But the bad ones are not something that we need to associate ourselves with.
Are there an equal number of good and bad jinns?
Yeah, we have good jinns and bad jinns. That is what I said. The good ones, you have spiritual eye. You can use them for spiritual eye. They will tell you, you see this lady coming, she's a witch. You see this woman, this man coming, he's a wizard. Be careful. The good ones, you can have them for luck and favor. Wherever you go, you see that people be yearning to be around you. That's the good jinns. The good jinns, they can make you famous. They can even advise you, don't go here, don't go this, don't do this, do that. Inshallah, that's the good jinns.
How do you attract the good jinns?
The good jinns, we have a way of doing that. If you come to me, I'll use your name, consult, and find out if you can handle them. Because we have the good jinn spirit and the jinn itself. We have something that we just come and I will give it to you. I'll do it for you. That anytime you need to, you're going out, so you need to experience the luck and favor that, then you use it. Sometimes you, okay, I'm going out, wherever I'm going to this particular place, and I don't know what's going to happen there. I have something that I can give you. If you go out, if you see a witch or wizard, you'll be able to tell. But that's the good ones, and we have a lot of anything that you want. You are a student, you want to write examination. You are sometimes our children, they are not good at school. We can do something that will make them very, very good and wonderful. And some of us, as I said, we cannot perform well in our schools and job places. Inshallah, if you come, we can work on that. And then if there is something on you, then immediately cast it out. If there's sickness, you sometimes you marry for 50, some say 40 years, 30 years, no child. We can find out what is really behind. And sometimes we're not just spiritual. We will find out first and find out if there is no spiritual case. I will tell you, look, you know what? Your case is not spiritual. It's just a physical case that maybe a doctor can solve it. I'll tell you, go see your doctor. And sometimes if it's spiritual, and I'll tell you, look, you know what? This is spiritual. I can handle this. And I'll give you a number of days that I'm going to do that. Yeah.
What else can you tell us about living with jinns on a day-to-day basis, avoiding the bad, and attracting the good?
Yeah, and that is saying that the devil says that if you're able, the bad jinn, all the bad jinns, they said we can control each and every one on this earth, unless the one who is free from these 4 areas. And he said, first, someone who is, you wouldn't find him in anger, someone who is not quick-tempered, who is not very difficult to become angry, and someone is not, you wouldn't find him in anger, greed, lust, and envy. So if you are free from these areas, then jinn, it will be very difficult to attract the bad jinns. Anger, greed, lust, and envy. It will be very difficult to attract the bad jinns. If you want to attract good jinns too, then you have to make sure that you'll be endurance. You'll be able to endure, to be loving, to be so simple, to live your life. You don't need, who is this guy? I'm too big for him to call me. You know, it becomes difficult for you to attract the good jinns. The good jinns are very, very loving and very simple. They believe, look, all men are equal, the good ones. Then you'll be able to attract them. I think that's all. Yeah.
I think that's all the questions I have. Is there anything else I should know, or what should I read, or should I look at as somebody who's new to this philosophy?
For now, as I said myself, I have a book called The World of Jinn and Satan. And if God permits, our next episode, we talk about that. But for now, whoever needs me should just call the numbers on the screen, call or text, and then come. Inshallah, but as I said, the next episode we talk about the book so that you'll be able to have full insight about the jinn and Satan. Inshallah. So,
thank you very much. It was very enlightening. I appreciate learning more about the jinn.
Thank you.
Thank you.